state. And literally our closing, which is happening today, almost got derailed because the seller's mover didn't show up. Long story short, they got made an offer for a low cost moving situation. And then kind of it was a bait and switch. Then when they showed up, it was double the price, right? And here they are under the gun, under duress. So Jenny, my friend Jenny Moore here that you guys are all meeting today, has had many, many years in the moving industry. And she is writing up for my VIP education community of brokers, which I'm happy to share with my SIC friends as well, a moving kind of best practices that if you're a wholesaler, or you're working with anybody selling their home, this is a value add that you can give them to watch out on how to properly engage with a moving company so they don't get ripped off or their bill doubled and so forth. It's these little things that you guys, we never think of that are pieces of the pie that are actually super valuable information and a big value add that may set you apart from the average wholesaler or broker or whatever your discipline is, and even to know for yourself and your family and friends. So shout out to Jenny Moore, who's joined us today, who's also part of my VIP education community for brokers. And, happy to share that with you guys when she does that for us here sometime in the next week or two. So here's the scoop. How's everybody doing? Karl, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining us today.
What's going on, Julie? Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hey, introduce yourself so people know what you're up to. Maybe they'll send you some deals. Who knows what'll happen.
Sure, absolutely.
Since you haven't joined us before, maybe you'll start joining us after I drop all this juicy info today.
Yeah, I think regularly I'd certainly love to be on this. I think I joined back, it must have been in January when Augie had done some presentations on DADUs and development. So Karl Krauskopf, I run a company called Aurora's Investment Group. We are a development firm here in Seattle. So we've got a couple developments going on in South Seattle, townhomes, and then we've got another one going on in Ballard as well. So I've done flips last 2-3 years and have just gotten in more so into the development world. So I bring in investors, mostly friends and family right now, and looking to expand here in Seattle and outside in Boise and Phoenix as well. So thanks for having me.
Hey, Karl, didn't you and I look at that Shoreline deal last year that I sold?
Yeah, how's that turning out? Did that buyer end up ever putting a DADU on it?
Buyer flipped it and then did the plans for a DADU.
Nice.
Then overpriced it, didn't sell it, and just rented it because he thinks if he hangs on to it for a couple years, that maybe Shoreline's going to change their laws and that he has his DADU plans in place, right? Sure. He tried to sell it by offering the DADU plans. That honestly, it was so ugly. I mean, it was like not a pretty flip. But all I want to tell you, Karl, as I'm telling here in front of all our friends, is I actually have another one in the neighborhood that I'm working on right now. So nice. You missed that one. This also is off market, same situation, but I know you don't like to pay a lot. So probably not going to be your price range, but I'm just letting you know since you're in front of my face that I have another one.
Oh, I appreciate it. We're doing a pre-approved DADU in North Seattle, just on the south side of 145th on Meridian. So I appreciate the offer, and we'll definitely talk about that one.
Yeah. And so let me ask you, we're going to go down a tangent while more people are joining us here with Karl here for a second. So you're looking for properties that are you looking for like RSL zones? Or are you looking for just properties that you can throw a DADU on top of a garage, or what are you looking for? Or the townhomes in the back? What are you looking for?
Yeah, good question. So primarily LR dirt, and really right now looking for something that is already entitled or in process of being entitled, and we are looking at purchasing the entitled project itself. So, if you've got a property that is RSL, LR zoned and does not have any of the entitlements done, not really looking for that right now, just because right now the focus is mainly on the construction side. as opposed to the upfront development, as opposed to the upfront entitlement process.
Are you partners with Augie on your deals?
And no, not yet. And of
Okay.
course, I have a growth mindset, so no, not yet though.
Gotcha. Awesome stuff. So actually, who is it that we are talking to? Oh, okay, yeah. Who is it? Oh, Justin Canberra. He's not on here right now. Oh, is Justin on here? No. He is also looking for dad who's probably south.
Yeah, I think he's putting out a lot of mailers out in Tacoma
Yeah,
area.
right.
Yeah, good friends with Justin.
Stuff. Yes. Yeah. Anybody in the tiny home space here on here today? I sent Todd McKellips a deal recently out in Buckley, and I'm trying to get him to get his financing together. Otherwise, I'm going to offer it to somebody else. So if anybody has any tiny home type people, I know I'll call Justin. But anyway, what else? Anybody have any questions before I share some juicy details with you today? Dion, what's going on, brother? Nothing. Dion. George, is it George?
Yes. It's Jorge, but everybody calls me George.
Jorge, we'll call you Jorge. We can get it right. Welcome.
Thank you. This is my first time here. I don't even know if you guys can see me or anything, but anyways, this is my
I
first.
can see you and you're naked. Why are you naked, Jorge? Oh, Jesus, man, put your shirt on. No, I'm just teasing. What's your discipline? That threw him off. What's your discipline in real estate, Jorge?
I started in 08. I got out of the Navy, got into real estate brokerage. I was the rookie of the year. Bought my first flip in 2009. Started an LLC for flipping. Probably done about 200 flips. Own a bunch of commercial, residential, real estate now, and I'm always innovating. And I own a couple businesses that I opened in some of these buildings that I bought. But you know, I'm new to social media. I've never done any social media, so now I'm just kind of trying to network and stuff like that as I expand.
Sweet. So do you have an actual focus today? Are you still a broker?
My focus today is just to learn and just kind of watch you guys. I've never done anything like this. This is my first Zoom meeting, so I've never.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm trying to make time to do this kind of stuff now.
Well, awesome. Well, you're doing great. What's your focus on your purchases right now? What are you looking for?
Well, I'm always buying distressed assets. I would say about 95% of everything I've ever purchased is a distressed asset. So I'm always closing on something that's a distressed asset, whether I get it from an attorney, from a past client, or just marketing. That's my focus, and then I figure out what to do with it. If I keep it or flip it or whatever. I have no idea what I'm going to do next. I'm just always looking for another deal.
And how are you getting your deals mostly?
I would say from people that know me that I'm an investor here in Thurston County. I primarily only do in Thurston County. I've purchased in Pierce and King County, but the distance is too much for me to underwrite something correctly. So I'm just focusing on Thurston County. So I would say attorneys that know me, people that I market to. We have a list that we get from a third party of people who are maybe absentee owners or, you know, homes that have been neglected, that kind of thing. And so it just comes from all different places.
Cool. Well, how about maybe Joe, what's your email address? And maybe somebody will send you some deals since you're a Thurston County guy. That's kind of special. What Joe, if you don't know how to type it into the chat, then maybe shout it out and Joe can throw it into the chat for you.
Sure. Yeah, I won't know how to type it, but it's Jorge, Jorge at westolympia.com, WESTOLYMPIA.com.
Awesome. Karl, you want to throw yours in the chat in case people want to send you any development deals, LR, RSL deals? Cool. We can't hear you because you're on mute, but awesome. We're just trying to get to know everybody.
Yeah, Julie, I started watching your podcast like a year ago. I don't remember, and I've always thought you had a really good way of presenting information, and I figured I'd jump on this Zoom here, just
Awesome.
just to be supportive.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Well, if you want to know somebody that presents information in a better way than me, it's my friend Dion McNeeley here. And you might want to jump on his podcast as well. I'll let him speak for himself to introduce you guys. We got some new people here today. So let's go ahead and do a little introduction for a minute.
I don't think I present it better, Julie, but Jorge, if you're in Thurston County, I've got 3 rentals there too. And I was reached out to by the housing authority. Normally for 3 bedrooms, they were paying $1,600 a month. And right now there's a program going on associated with COVID called the Emergency Housing Voucher, where they're doing Section 8 tenants. If you list a place with a new one for a 3 bedroom at $2,200. So it's a massive jump based for that area. Something to look into if you've got rentals there.
Holy crap.
That's what I said.
Wow.
Joe, that'd be like a YouTube chapter bookmark right there. We're trying really hard here going forward. Dion, steal this idea for yourself as well, to bookmark or basically make little chapters of all these recordings. So people don't have to listen to the whole thing. They can jump through stuff. We're trying to get better at that. So just as a reminder, these are all recorded, and anybody who's a member of Seattle Investors Club will have access to rewatch this recording after the fact. On our YouTube page or wherever you want to listen to it. It's $220 a year to join Seattle Investors Club. We don't care if you do or you don't, because you can show up every week and get the information right here for free. Or if you want to watch it later, join Seattle Investors Club. Cool. Let's keep going here. Leyla. Hi. Calling you out.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, my name is Leyla. I think this is the first time I've joined this meeting. I am based here on the east side. I have a small portfolio of single family homes that I've owned and managed, self-managed for a number of years. They're all in King County. But what I'm attempting to do in this crazy market is I'm attempting to find some apartments, small apartment buildings to buy.
Nice.
And I am having a really hard time in the state of Washington.
Small, hard time.
Cap rate wise, or what hard time is that?
A hard time finding something that will give me the IRR I'm looking for. So for my target returns, I'm coming up blank. Prices people pay, it's just not easy.
How do you feel about the Midwest?
I feel good about the Midwest. I invest in syndications as a limited partner in the Midwest and the South. So, to me, when I can go with an experienced operator and get 16, 17% IRR, anything that I do myself, where I have to do the work and manage it possibly, has to be substantially better than that. And I'm not seeing anything.
So on your syndications, I guess I'll say that you're invested in these other states, does the sponsor, I'll call it, of that syndication take what, 50% piece as their chunk? That's a really big question. You have to be real careful. You got to know, some of them do, some of them don't. Does anybody know a syndicator that is taking, maybe 20%? Do you know any, Karl?
30% is more typical.
30%.
Deals with as low as 16. I go after people who have been around for 20 years and have something. A lot of syndicators are having this problem I'm having, even in Texas, Carolinas. There's not enough deals, even on a larger scale, that will produce those returns. I'm going after cash flows. That's my primary metric I'm looking for. And a lot of those states, the yield has been, the prices have been bid up so much, there is no yield either. So
Right.
they have to take.
I would love to hear if you're willing to share. We're a sharing and caring group here. We share everything, right? Because most people do nothing. So it doesn't matter. You can share your code to your bank lockbox. Nobody probably run over there and do anything, if you get what I'm saying. So if you were willing to share any of your syndicators, What I do is I'm an expert, honestly, at vetting. That's like my side hobby. I vet opportunities and people and stuff like that. I'd love to, if you even want to privately tell me, you don't have to tell everybody here, or if you're willing to tell us who is it multifamily syndicators or that you're talking about?
I'm in a number of deals in multifamily. That's my bread and butter. That's what I know how to underwrite. I have a background in finance. I know how to underwrite those deals. Commercial. I know how to underwrite commercial real estate.
Yeah.
I am in mobile home funds, mobile home parks. I'm constantly evaluating. This is what I do on a full-time basis. I just flew back from LA from a meeting with a sponsor yesterday. So let's connect.
Yeah, let's grab a coffee and compare some notes, because I am also skilled in all those departments, commercial real estate, multifamily, and so forth. So would love to, I'm always looking for vetted multifamily syndicators, which I think just because somebody talks a lot and does deals doesn't mean that they actually know what they're doing. So I'd love to compare notes on what the questions you might do to vet them, so you can tell in 30 seconds whether they are highly educated on what they're doing or not, in my opinion. Which leads us to the discussion today. Does anybody else? Deej, what's up? What's up?
How y'all doing?
DJ Reed in the house.
That's right. I'm just reconnecting after a month of COVID and a short plat that's finally finished and sold. So I'm saying peace, hi, and I had a cool opportunity dropped in my lap I wanted to share. If anybody's into neuro-linguistic programming, I got a 60% off. I got a couple codes I can get people. There's a training coming up in end of October in Vegas or early November in Atlanta. So six days for certification. So hit me up if you're interested in any of those trainings.
Yeah, or if you're on your phone, but if you wanted to share it in the chat, that would be awesome, or something like that. If you're able to do that, or send the information to however you want to do it, we'd all love to hear it. But we'll leave it there. You can either email me or Joe, or drop it in the chat, or somehow post it on Seattle Investors Club, whatever you want to do. It's cool. All right. Good to see you. So anybody else have anything they need help with today before we jump in to some stuff I want to share with you guys?
I just sent a text or a chat. I'm not sure how to post it to the group, but I have a 15-unit apartment complex that I purchased maybe 3 years ago with a partner, and we're going to sell it this year, maybe in the next 30 days.
I'm interested.
So yeah, I mean, and I'll be the listing broker. So I sent a text to Julie with details, and also to, I forget the name of the gal that was talking, Leyla.
Okay.
Yeah, so I shared details, financials, that kind of stuff. So, and obviously I can send you more information through email.
Did you say you sent me a text? Because I didn't get your text.
I sent a chat. I looked at your name and I said chat and I hit send.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Got it. Okay.
Jorge, where is that?
I gave you the address, 306 10th Avenue in Olympia, 306 10th Avenue Southeast, Olympia, Washington, 98501. It's right behind the Washington State Employees Credit Union headquarters.
What's the status of the building? Are the rents up to market rents, or is there any value add left, or did you suck all the juice out of it?
No, there's a lot of value add. We haven't done any rent increases since before COVID. It's $13,000 a month is what we're collecting now. Average about, I don't know what that is, divided by 15, because there's 15 units. 1-bedroom apartments, there's 13 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments. I would say at least half of them have been renovated with new flooring, paint, that kind of stuff, new appliances. The other half, the original tenants are still there from a few years when I purchased it, so we haven't remodeled them. They're not that big or difficult to remodel. Really nice plans. I can send it to anybody who wants more details.
What's your phone number?
Area code 360-485-9110. And it has a brand new TPO roof that we had installed about 2 years ago. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with TPO roofs.
Yeah. I have one on my house.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Uh,
I got a screaming deal, guys. I paid $640,000 for that.
what's the price that you want to sell it for?
I'll give you 750.
Yeah, so it was a distressed asset. It was an estate sale.
You have a price that you want to sell it for?
I haven't decided. I have a range, but I haven't finalized that yet. But I do have a range, and maybe I can give that to you guys in the next week or so. I want to make sure that I crunch my numbers, but it's probably going to be maybe 2 million.
Okay. Well, we're here every week, same time, same place.
I guess your offer's out, Keith.
Right on.
Or hey, it's still there whenever you want to come back to it, brother. It's there.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is live and recorded. So, I mean, it's,
Sure.
it's
Yeah, no
as
worries,
binding
yeah.
as anything else.
If we're going there, Keith, I'll do 751. How's that?
Damn it.
Jorge, just out of curiosity, are you entertaining seller finance offers?
No, because we have other opportunities that we're probably going to seek to purchase. So I try not to do owner financing. I just try to get out of the deal if I can.
Word. Anybody else have anything today before I share with you the news that I'm going to share with you? You guys can tell me. Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, if anybody wants to chat with me about it, I welcome the conversation, but I hear so often from folks that they don't want to entertain seller financing because they need the cash. And may I just put it out to you that sometimes if a deal is properly structured with seller financing, it doesn't mean that you have to hang on to the note. The note can be sold. So it can make it easier for your buyer to get into a property. In circumstances, you just want to make sure that those notes are properly structured. And then we can assist you if you need to sell and exit that note, and then you can get your cash. So
Word. Marishka, what's though the discount somebody's got to take? Let's say.
So Julie, it's all over the board, and it really depends on how the deal is structured. Did they do a first and a second? Did they vet the borrower? Do they have documentation? Do they, how much of a down payment did the borrower come in with? There's all kinds of things that there's no standard, this is the discount that you're going to take.
So what you're saying is we're going to do a podcast and you're going to tell us how to properly structure these notes.
Walked right into it. Right into it.
Sign her up, Joe. Sign her up. Right? Marishka, are we going to do that? Larry and Marishka?
Happy to.
Is it Marishka and Larry these days, or is it Larry and Marishka? I mean, how do you don't separate the two?
We really don't. But what's kind of cool is that we morph and we kind of do this,
Are you willing
Marishka?
to cover a
Marishka.
podcast?
Yes.
Okay. Sign them up, Joe. Okay. Good stuff and very valid point, right? So we'll do a podcast on that topic. Anybody else have anything today?
So on another note, we have a fourplex that we'd like to sell off market before we try and list it. It's in Albion, Washington, which is about 5 miles from Pullman. It's going to be completely remodeled. They're updating everything. And the couple investors that we work with, and like I said,
so we're still nailing down pricing on that, but
I have a buyer that's looking in that area.
Are they? Awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's talk.
Yep.
I'm doing photographs on Monday, and so we're gonna have photographs right after that. So
are you saying that this is a full priced deal that with the juice already everything's done? The rents are up to market based on the improvements?
It's not rented.
It's vacant.
It's vacant. They've been doing rehab on it.
How many units?
It's a fourplex. There's 2 bedrooms in 2 units and 1 bedroom in the other 2 units.
No. I think it's a 7 unit altogether. So it's 2, and 1.
Okay.
Can you send me the info? Because I need to talk to you. Yeah. I need to talk to you about that.
Okay.
Also, some technical stuff that you're going to need to know for getting that done.
Awesome. Happy to.
Okay. Okay. So you can make sure to get it.
Appreciate that.
So it's vacant. So they bought it and essentially flipped it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And yes.
And they've had a lot of interest in rents. And so they've been debating on, do we load it or not? And yeah, so.
Let's talk some technicalities on a few fronts offline.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Awesome. That's good. Look at this today. There's deals are slinging around. I don't know if that's
there's also I want to put out there there's an opportunity coming up. I'm waiting on some details, but an opportunity coming up for a property in South Seattle that's actually it's zoned. You could probably it's zoned for 6 units, but really we looked at it a few years ago, and the reality is with setbacks, it's probably only going to be 4 units is what you could do. Right now it's a single family. It's going to be a tear down, but their lease is coming up, so that could be an opportunity for someone.
We're going to reward Karl for showing up today. Okay. Why don't you vet it through Karl? Karl?
Marishka.
Yes. Oh, there you are. There you are. Okay. Karl, why don't you shoot me your contact information? And yeah.
It's in the chat too, I think.
Oh, okay. Yep. Cool. Oh,
and
there we are.
We need to talk about that as well. So we'll talk.
In the chat. I'm not seeing it in the chat.
Did you drop it in the chat, Karl?
Yeah, it's towards the top, but I'll pop it in there again.
Look how much fun we're having today, guys. And we haven't even, let's see what else is happening. What else you guys all got? Anybody else got anything exciting? Keith, do you need to tell us anything today?
I decorated the trailer.
Oh, nice.
Put my witch in the corner and a little gravestone.
Don't we have
tomorrow's October
loan limits?
What? Do we have new conforming loan limits? I don't know. Did they announce it already?
I think they did. Yeah.
Wow, that's early. They usually wait until like end of October to November.
Yeah.
And I will say this, with regard to loan limits, everybody's like, why are housing prices going up? Why are housing prices going up? Because Fannie, Freddie, and FHA continue to increase their loan limit, which brings the biggest opportunity to the most Americans to go buy a house.
Yep.
So if they aren't incrementally taking those up, everything goes static, because then you're going to jumbo market, and jumbo market would completely and utterly kill the world. So
cracks me up around here because prices have gone up tremendously in North Idaho, and everybody's like, those realtors, blah, blah, blah. It's like the realtors have nothing to do with it.
Nope. No. Yeah, it's cute when people think it's the realtors.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so cute.
You're so cute.
Well, do we have any wholesalers on here? Karl, do you ever buy off from wholesalers? Does anybody here ever buy from wholesalers?
Yeah, I have. It's been fewer and far between now. It just, my margin requirements have gotten more dialed in, and sorry, I've got my toddler in here, but
no worries.
Yeah, unfortunately I haven't seen too much that meets our margin requirements.
Well, I want to let you know there's a new player in town that'll compete with wholesalers. You guys may or may not know if they've seen this or heard about this, but they're called Sunday. Has anybody, raise your hand if you've ever heard of Sunday? Okay. Yes. So Sunday is a cash buyer. It looks like, hey, we'll buy your house like every other wholesaler, right? But they have high quality and a lot of marketing that they're doing. It's a startup that was founded by this guy that was the founder of Lending Home, I think, Keith, if you know what that is. Josh, I can't remember his last name at the moment, but Stetch maybe. And he's the founder of Sunday. Sunday has actually stolen all the employees that were on the corporate team at Wedgwood. Who knows who Wedgwood is? Raise your hand if you know who Wedgwood is. Wedgwood is a big they're not an institutional buyer, they're a private buyer that for years they bought up everything at the auctions and stuff. And I've sold them lots and lots of properties. And, you know, if you're at EXP, they're part of our express offers program and all that stuff. So anyways, a lot of those employees went over to Sunday, meaning there's some people that know what they're doing. They've been raising money, you know, in startup world and stuff like this. So long story short, I'll say this first, is that they have, and I can get you access to, if you're interested, Karl, just for fun, you might be interested in it. They have essentially started this marketplace where it's like a platform, right? Like an off-market MLS essentially for investment properties. I don't know how they're getting away with it here locally because, you know, they are members of the MLS and it's an off-market MLS, but that's not my problem to worry about. I don't know. I could be wrong, but literally what happens is they're inviting investors like you all, DJ, Karl, and so forth, to gain access to their marketplace of properties. And when you buy one of their properties, you will be represented by somebody at Sunday because they're brokers, and there is a 5% platform fee. So you will have to gross up whatever the property is being offered at on their platform by 5%. And they are, long story short, if you're a wholesaler, they're your competition now because they are reaching out to all the sellers and they're very sophisticated at their marketing, and they are offering the sellers a free Matterport and a free home inspection. And if they sign their marketplace marketing agreement, their property can be marketed on Sunday's platform to be put in front of thousands of investors. They're not wholesaling, okay? They're not wholesaling.
Whoa.
Okay. Anyways, if you guys are with me on VIP or whatever, in high talks with them about a few things. And if you're a wholesaler, you're going to want to know about it. If you're a wholesaler, a tip on how you might get around if you run into the fact that they've been contacted by Sunday, which is going to make them a better offer than you're going to make with your lowball offer, is that it's going to take time for them to get on a Sunday platform and see who makes an offer versus your offer as a wholesaler, right, would be faster and quicker. Even though they say, you know what I mean? That's the only thing I can think of at the moment on how you might differentiate yourself if you're a wholesaler. You guys following me? Because it takes time to sit out there and see if these investors make an offer, but you're there to actually make an offer and get it closed, right? That's your difference between you and them as a wholesaler. Now, whether or not you're a skilled wholesaler and you can actually close on it or have buyers lined up that'll actually close on it is another thing, right? But for example, I have a client that has this Mamish property that they just put out. Everybody on the planet knew about it. I've been their long-time broker. They said, we are getting all these contacts from these wholesalers. And I said, okay, let me help you keep them honest, but none of them are going to pay you what we could get, you know, if we go on the market and you have no pressure on you. So they ended up getting a wholesale offer for, let's just say $800,000. And I said, I support you. If you can get this, go ahead and sell it to the wholesaler. But I can tell you right now, they ain't going to be able to get it sold for you. And they're not going to be able to do it. So let's keep them honest by putting a $5,000 non-refundable fee on the wholesale contract and see if they sign it. They did. And of course they couldn't get it sold. So of course I'm listing it next week and they got $5,000 off that wholesaler. So I'm just saying, if you're going to play against Sunday, you better have your buyers lined up and be, you know what you're doing, because the word's going to get out. And so now you have new competition.
So Sunday doesn't own the property?
No, everybody who looks at Sunday thinks that they do. Do they cherry pick? I don't know. You know,
multiple's going to sue their ass off.
On their marketing, you can't tell, I don't know. Maybe they do close on some. They probably and very likely do. Okay. But this new platform, you know, they
If
are very smart and they're very legal counseled and they know what they're doing. So I'm not here to say whether they're doing whatever they're doing. I'm just saying what my expertise is I learn how to play with everybody. I know everybody and I learn how to play with everybody. Okay. And so if you're with me on VIP, like some of you are, we're going to have some stuff going on with that. Okay. And I'm going to teach you how to play, but I'm just giving you wholesalers a heads up. The other thing I want to give you a heads up on as wholesalers and brokers is that Redfin NOW is officially in the Seattle market, smack in the core areas. How many people know what Redfin NOW is? Raise your hand. Redfin NOW is Redfin. It's their iBuying program, right? Their cash buyer platform, okay? And Redfin NOW, I have a whole list of all the properties they've bought and sold or have available and that they own. And I can tell you, for example, in the middle of Seattle in Shoreline, they recently purchased a property off market for $1,125,000. And within 60 days later, they listed it for sale for $1,175,000. And they sold it for like, I don't know, 1.2. They bought it for $1,125,000. They relisted it 60 days later for $1,175,000, and they sold it for 1.2. They are now, if you're a broker and you have an opportunity, guess what? You have a signed listing agreement. They're going to be a cash offer, a quick close. You can go retrieve an offer for your seller from Redfin NOW. If you are, let me just say there's all kinds of things you can do with this. Everybody might think, oh shit. In my world, I think hills yes. Okay. Because, you know, I can teach you guys all later how to play with everybody. But my point is, if you use your brain, you can figure out for yourself in your own business discipline how you can play that. They don't pay fees to you. They will not pay you, just to be clear. Okay. So I want to let you know about that Redfin NOW is in the market. I went on an off market appointment the other day in Seattle, in Ravenna. It was a total house that was a total investor deal. And that seller said, oh yeah, I got an offer from Redfin NOW. And I'm like, oh shit, really interesting. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I don't want to waste your time. So I just need to know if I can beat it or not. So you can either tell me what that offer is, but better yet, why don't you just send me the paperwork? And the guy sent me all his paperwork, right? So I have all the Redfin NOW stuff because I got it. I don't even care to deal with this house. I wanted the paperwork to see what they're up to, and now I know. And literally, they will agree to whatever I believe a seller wants. They'll talk them down, and then they will agree to them on an LOI with whatever they kind of want, as long as they can get them, which is still retail priced, in my opinion. Then they will turn around and say they're going to make their offer and this and that and this and that. And I'm sure there's an inspection as a part of that they then go turn around and lower their price. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be as low as your price as an investor or a wholesaler. So I just want you to know that there's some big boys out there now playing with you smack in the middle of Seattle. They made this guy an $870,000 offer on a dilapidated piece of shit house that was nowhere near what an investor would pay. Okay.
It's subject to their inspection. And that's exactly what.
Right.
Interesting.
But that doesn't mean they won't beat you guys. I want you to know they're out there. All I'm saying. Okay. You can take that information, do what you want. Again, VIP education community. We're having like a whole modern brokerage is what I call it, and modern investing discussion about that. So that's that. Anybody got anything they want to say before I jump onto my juicy details about Seattle rentals? Dmitry, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yo,
yes, I can hear
hey,
you.
Dmitry. So what are you up to? Are you a broker, investor, builder, flipper?
Well, I have
Burger?
license, but I'm not a broker actually. And I had 4 units in Seattle, and I sold them recently. So, but I'm still interested in the news on Seattle.
Yes. Are you buying? What are you looking to buy right now?
I'm looking to buy, but probably not in Seattle.
Gotcha. Looking to buy what?
I mostly target buy and hold and some value add. If there is some value add in buy and hold, that's probably my deal.
Awesome. Which brokerage firm do you hang your license at, like Pelago or Next?
Pelago.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, good stuff. You guys ready to hear this info? So here's what's going on is that I have been working with Joanna here. That's in the middle of your screen. We are working on a 7-unit apartment building project sale where we are the brokers, but we could also be the buyers if we wanted to. We haven't attempted that yet because it's a very difficult situation with, where we have to vet the seller is very slow to move. But long story short, we have started fielding offers on this thing off market just because people are aware of this building. And what I have come to learn is that in regards to this building has all month-to-month leases, right? And what's interesting about it, which everybody wants to buy a building with below market rents, and we're talking Seattle right now, okay? And what we have come to learn is that if the rents are below, and you may or may not know this already, 80% of the area median income. So there's a chart of what those maximum rents are, okay, of 80% of the area median income in Seattle. If any of the units are below that threshold, there is something called a notice of intent to sell ordinance that is required by the city of Seattle. And that ordinance says that what the process has to be is that you as the building owner have to notify the tenants, post a notice in your building, as well as notify a couple of departments in the city of Seattle of your intent to sell 90 days ahead of time for a couple of reasons. One, so the tenants have the right and opportunity to make an offer to purchase the building. You don't have to accept it, but you have to give them the opportunity. Number two, so the city has the opportunity and the right to make an offer to purchase the building. Again, you don't have to take it, right? But the downside of that is that you post these notices, give the city these notices, and one, it alerts your tenants who might all want to move out. In some cases, we think that might be a good thing, right? But if you are somebody that owns the building and it's part of your income and you need it to live off of, that might be a bad thing, right? And so you give this 90-day notice. Well, they have 30 days to inform you in writing of their intent. I'm sorry, not intent, their interest in the building, that they have interest only to make an offer, to potentially make an offer. That is, they have up to 30 days to respond to your notice with that. If they say, I have interest, either the city or the tenants, they get another 30 days to document that they're qualified to make an offer, okay? And if they are able to do that, they have another 30 days to actually make the offer, which you don't have to accept. So that's 90-day drag. You follow me? If the rent, one unit is below the 80% of the area median income. Now, if you don't comply as a landlord, there's a $2,000 per building fine. What?
Per building or per unit? It's
per building. Per building. So if you were a garden style building, if you guys know what that means, there could be multiple buildings. That would be per building, is my understanding, versus this happens to be a mid-rise. So it's $2,000. $2,000. Do you think anybody is complying with that? Now, I'm not here to say whether they should or they shouldn't, or what is up? Okay. I'm not here to give that guidance. That's my client's decision or the landlord's decision. But what I can tell you, because I am highly networked and I have a lot of friends that do a lot of different kinds of real estate transactions, that my 100% focused multifamily broker buddies have informed me that out of the last 25 buildings they have sold that fall into this category, that they have zero complied, their sellers, with this stuff. They've even listed it for sale where anybody could see what the rents are. And if some sleuth in the city of Seattle, that's right there for them to see. And they all got the building sold and nobody has said anything. Now, I'm not saying the rules are changing daily. I think some just changed yesterday, right?
Could that come back on them retroactively? And I mean, it might be worth it. I mean, sometimes it's just worth it.
Well, exactly. I think that maybe some of those brokers are like, we'll pay for it if it comes back on you. I think the risk is, well, what if they change the fees to $50,000 a month from now, and you're in the middle of your closing or something? It is what it is. Everybody has to assess the situation. In my case, I have people saying, we'd like to take up this as a court case and pay all your clients' legal fees to fight this. So I'm just saying this is the rules, and there's rules, and then there's the reality on the ground, right? Of what's happening. And my highly experienced full-time commercial buddy, multifamily focused brokers, friends, are letting me know this. Okay. So that's that news. Now, here's what's more important. Okay. You're like, fine, I'll do whatever. What you need to know is, as part of the Seattle rules on rents right now, there is something called a 120-day notice to give notice to a tenant for substantial renovation. Does anybody know about this? Raise your hand if you've heard of this. Okay. All right. So it exists. And you're like, cool. If I have them on a 6-month lease, now I have to give them 180 days notice of a rent increase as of what? Yesterday, right? Okay. You guys following me? But hey, why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just give this month-to-month tenant a 120-day notice? That's shorter of my intent to substantially renovate the building or units. Okay. Because it ain't flowing like that. And that is what I want to make sure that you guys understand, this juicy detail. Because if you are buying a building in Seattle, or you're brokering, or you are whatever your touch is, wholesaling, or whatever you think you're doing, the best players and the people that win are the people that are the most intelligent to add value, to actually counsel their own buyers, to be a buyer, and all this other jazz. So if you hang out with me, this is the kind of stuff and information that we talk about all the time. So in the case of this, if you have buildings that are rented under the 80% area median income, those are the buildings you want to buy, because those are the value add buildings, right? That you can renovate and increase the rents, what we all want. Okay. But if they are, you are required under what I'll call a TRAO, TRAO, I think, ordinance, might be spelling that wrong. You are required to give the tenant a 90-day notice. Okay. That they have to apply for relocation assistance money. Okay. And if they are under the 80% area median income. Okay. Now that 90-day notice, they get the first 30 days that you give them the notice that they can just apply or do whatever they're going to do. That's the first 30 days. The next 30 days, I believe, is where the city gets to respond to them whether they're qualified for this relocation assistance, which is, I think, about $2,200 per unit from the landlord, and another match by the city of Seattle. Okay. So that's 30 days that you give them to apply. Another 30 days the city has to respond to them. And then once they get the response, they have another 30 days to challenge that response from the city on their relocation. Do you guys get it? So a 90-day drag out the gate. Here you are thinking, oh, well, let me just give them a 120-day notice of intent to renovate or substantially renovate. So now let's say the 90 days is over, okay? Now you have to give them a 120-day notice to substantially renovate the building, correct? Okay, when that's over, you have to give them a 20-day notice to vacate. However, the city of Seattle has a moratorium overlay on this that you cannot give them that notice to vacate, that last 20-day notice, through March 31st of 2022. So essentially, you can't use it to get them out because you can't give them the last step of the notice. How do I know this? Because some of the people that I talk to have been through this process. So that means, how do you get them out? You have to do it through rent increases, right? Or some pocket of eviction or something if they haven't paid. But right now you can't evict. So you have to do it through rent increases. So if you are a broker and you don't know all this stuff, first of all, it's scary for you to advise anybody. If you are representing a buyer, let's just put it this way. If you're representing a buyer, you're a buyer, or however you are, one, you got to understand how this impacts lending. Two, you got to understand how this impacts that you might get your clients or your buyers or whoever into a situation that is shitty. Okay. So in my case right now, Joanna and I represent a seller. We will not allow her to sign an offer without a buyer that fully understands this and that is patient. Literally, it could take you 9 months to get access to a unit to renovate. Okay. That's putting somebody on a 6-month lease and then giving them the proper noticing to, all the proper noticing, literally. If you don't understand this, you are putting people in a bad position or yourself in a bad position, etc. So like I said, if you're buying a building or anyone involved with a building that's on month-to-month leases, you need to assume a 9-month minimum before anybody's going to get access potentially to those units for your underwriting. You guys get what I'm saying? Highly, highly important. The other thing is, for example, we have this building. We've been getting these off-market offers from buyers agents, bringing their buyers who are bringing us financing proposals to purchase the building that are absolutely 100% not achievable. They're not achievable. And when I ask these people, let me talk to your lender because I want to ask you 3 or 4 simple questions so I know you know what you're doing and to let you know that your loan's not achievable. What's your plan B? First of all, I'm getting immense pushback from the buyer's agents, bringing these buyers like, what are you talking about? We'll figure that out once we're under contract. How would they know unless they have a signed contract that their broker can, send off to be underwritten? And I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. Okay. And your lender, I should be able to ask them 4 questions to let them know what the actual NOI of this building is, ask them what kind of loan product they're pursuing, and have a 5-minute intelligent conversation with them, and that they will know that your proposed financing that you threw against the wall with your 30% down is not achievable. And so finally, we are talking to a broker who happens to be a multifamily broker instead of a residential broker that has no clue, and are able to have intelligent conversation and fully vet this for our buyer, fully vet the situation. Not only that, now we are in a situation that we can maybe either buy it or we can bring other buyers to buy it. But I'm just saying, this shit is complicated and you need to understand the rules of engagement no matter where you are in the process in Seattle with rental units. So you're looking for buyers, or you're a buyer that is going to be patient. If you don't have patience of at least 9 months to get access to the units, unless you get lucky and you're able to work cash for keys or things like this, right? Then, which is hard to find your tenant leaving housing, right? It's a big what if, how if. I'm just informing you of this, what looks like a 120-day notice to vacate for substantial renovation is not most likely, because if you're substantially renovating, you're probably looking at a building that falls under the medium. One unit might fall under the 80% medium income. If they're all above, then you don't have to deal with the ordinance of the relocation assistance. Okay? So you need to know when you're looking at buildings, where do they fall? You need to know when you're helping people to try and get them to sign leases that are above this threshold so you can avoid these timelines. If any of you would like help, I'm available, right? But I'm not going to do a deal for you, right? I'm happy to partner, co-broker, whatever you want to do. And I will give you some free advice on a conversation, which is what this is, right? But I would, you guys are all welcome to call me for help. But it is, know where you are, know what part of the transaction you are, and know this information, because it's, you got to understand how that will affect if you're trying to get financing, or if, let's say for God's sake, that you put a hard money loan on this thing out the gate and you think you're going to get at these units. You got to know what you're doing before you hurt yourself or hurt your clients or hurt your buyer that then will hate you, or the seller that you put in a bad position, accepting a buyer on an offer that's not qualified and not the right type of buyer for today's environment. There are buyers out there, of which we have some, that are right for today's environment, that are patient, that might want to move into the building themselves. But you got to know who the buyer is, what their intention of the building is, or all this stuff. You guys following me?
So Julie, does this pretty much just include Seattle or other parts of King County as well?
This is Seattle, but there are similar types of rules happening like in Pierce County, right? They're not as stringent, right? So when we're looking at this together, as a group or on your own, but Marishka's with us, so we will look county by county, right? And I have friends county by county that will verify everything, an attorney, like Caitlin Jackson over at Dimension Law Group and this and that. But you can imagine that Seattle's the tough. Who's tough is Burien, Federal Way, Bellingham is now about to get tough. And Pierce County has some overlays with the noticing. But the problem with all this is that Seattle does this, and then some of the other counties kind of use it as a way to start following suit. And so you just need to be highly plugged in at all times and have resources that you can check current statuses of, understand the difference between rules and how it operates on the ground, and just have, a community like this, I would say, show up here, and that can use collective genius. I am stealing that term, and there's a collective genius for real that you guys should go look at for wholesalers and stuff like that. But I can't help but call this group collective genius. Okay. That's what we are. And I think that everybody in town is missing out by not participating with us every week or when they can, because this is the kind of shit we talk about every week, don't we? Whoever's here, we talk about this shit every week, major nuggets like this of all kinds of insider strategies and up-to-date things and how to play with the big boys as our real estate world disrupts, has more players. We get to meet people like Karl or Dmitry or Jorge or, everybody. Okay. This is the place to be, I think, because you can show up whenever you want online. And of course, all the other in-person meetups are awesome too. But this is the kind of shit we talk about every week, and it's recorded. Sometimes though, I might tell Joe, I don't want to share the recording because I don't want us to get in trouble. Like, I just want to be clear today. I'm not telling anybody not to comply with the Seattle intent to sell ordinance. I'm not telling you that. I am telling you that it's a business decision between you, yourself, your buyers, your sellers, your clients, whoever, right? But I can tell you on the ground, the feedback that I've got from my insider circles that I stay plugged into and have conversations on, that, what I told you is that so far it doesn't appear to have been enforced. but that doesn't mean it won't get enforced tomorrow. So that's up to you. But now you have the information. Now you have the information about that. Now you have the information about Redfin NOW, who could be very important to you if you're a broker, okay? It could be bad for you as a wholesaler. It could be good for you. It could be bad for you. If you're in my world, I'm going to teach you how it's good for you and how to get around where it might be bad for you, whether, you know what I mean? So yes, this is a pitch to let you also know that I have a VIP education community for brokers only. That's free. And if you're interested to know more, then ask me about it. But this is the kind of stuff, you know, it's exciting to me. I feel like the world of Seattle is catching up to me and how I operate. It's been otherwise hard to educate. And finally, the disruption of real estate and the Seattle market with our high prices is starting to catch up to modern brokerage. I call it modern brokerage, right? And I'm a broker investor myself. So it doesn't matter whether you're a broker or investor or you have your license for yourself or you're just an investor. You want to hang out with people like us, right? And like Karl and like Jorge, right? And Daniel doing flips, right? All you guys, and Marishka and Larry, who are going to tell you how you can not make the seller financing conversation scary, because Marishka and Larry can help you line up a buyer for that note, right? They can help you line up a buyer for that note. It doesn't mean that the seller has to sit and carry it long term. Highly, highly important. And therefore, Marishka has graciously, and Larry and Marishka and Larry have graciously agreed to do a podcast. And if you haven't listened to our podcast, go to our YouTube channel at Seattle Investors Club, and there's like 100 and something there. It's called The Nuts and Bolts of Real Estate. And if you want to be on it, let us know. If you think you know anybody that should be on it, let us know. We kind of have a cool one coming up, Joe, with a guy that does, Karl, you're going to like this. The guy that we have coming up is a land investor. So he pays attention across the country where there's existing subdivisions that are already, where the infrastructures are already there. And he buys the lots and he either builds or he pays attention to fringe neighborhoods. For example, one of them's out in Colorado, right? Where everybody from Denver was buying in, let's say, Colorado Springs, and then Colorado Springs got too blown up. So there's another, town that is just another 30 minutes away that is now the fringe on busting. The guy's picking up lots for like $5,000 or $1,000 and building, standard little homes on there and killing it, right? And that maybe is something that could happen in Eastern Washington. That's something that could happen south. Who knows? But we're having him on the podcast. Who else? We have Caitlin Jackson coming up on the podcast because we had some Seattle rental laws change yesterday. We've already put out our first podcast where we did a webinar for you guys with her. Caitlin Jackson, who's tied in with RHA and who's a lawyer at Dimension Law Group. That's available for you guys to listen to already, right? Go to YouTube. It's out there, our YouTube Seattle Investors Club page. And we have another one coming up with her. Do we have anybody else coming up, Joe? We have Marishka that's going to teach us how to tee up seller financing and then sell the notes and properly tee up the seller financing so those notes are marketable for the top price. Do we have anybody else coming up? We turn down 95% of people that contact us, just so you know, for podcasts. At least. Joe hates me because I don't like to put the same old noise out there all the time. Everybody covers the same shit. It's boring. Go listen to it. It's, to me, it's already covered and it's 10 times covered. So we're trying to, instead of being smart of growing our audience and having tons of content, Joe hates me because I'm super picky about what we talk about, right? Sorry, Joe. So anybody that you think would be a value add, you can co-host it with me. Okay, I love co-hosts.
Yeah, Julie, I just wish you'd show a little more passion about what you do, okay?
I love you, Larry.
I
love Colin, are you over in Spokane? Colin,
Indeed, I am.
indeed I am. What's going on over there, brother?
We're going through, Spokane's going through this similar stuff as Seattle with new regulations on rent control, announcements to tenants on increase in rents, selling of properties. So we're following suit with the Seattle Council.
But that's actually, you've piqued my interest, because I want to know if there's a window or a pocket of time to get in over there on your side of the mountains on buying properties. You know what I mean? I mean, it's still expensive over there, right? I mean, it's still getting expensive over there. Is that correct?
Yeah, the last 3 years, we've jumped from a median property value of 180 to somewhere in the upper 2s, lower 3s.
Still,
so it's getting expensive. It's still cheaper than Seattle. So yes, we still are much more of a desirable.
Better, Carl. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Well, that's cheap though still. Hey, do you know Larry and Marishka? They're just over in Coeur d'Alene.
I have not met them, but I'm glad that they're neighbors of ours.
You guys can be buddies. You guys can be buddies. Yeah, for sure.
I want to caveat, Julie, that the new laws that are coming in is just for the city of Spokane. That does not impact Spokane Valley, which is its own city, Airway Heights, which is its own city, Deer Park, and all the other surrounding communities. So there's a lot more properties around downtown Spokane that are not being affected by any of the Spokane City Council's decisions.
Are you guys having a lot of new home construction sprawl happening out there?
Yes, lots of sprawl.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you guys having lack of inventory for rentals? I mean, can people easily find a rental out there or no?
You can, there's inventory's low, but I'd say off-market deals are probably the best bet of getting any.
No, I mean as a renter, as a renter.
Oh, as a renter, yeah, it's difficult for renters right now to find a place to live.
So what you're seeing is you have low inventory, and they're and affordable prices for us Seattle folks, but rents are going to go up over there.
Correct.
And if you can stay in the pockets that are outside of downtown Spokane overlay crap, that there's still an opportunity there.
Well, in fact, some of the areas that he just mentioned, like Spokane Valley, I would argue are much more desirable than living in the city. But
I agree. I am a Spokane Valley resident.
Okay,
I absolutely agree with you.
What did you guys say? Because I just got sidetracked looking at Leyla says she has 100-unit syndication.
Oh, I was just saying, I would argue that some of the outlying areas like Spokane Valley, for example, that Colin mentioned, many of those areas I would say are much more desirable than living in the city of Spokane proper.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, Marishka, you can do deals there in Spokane, right?
Well, I know. I just have to grow another arm or two.
Yeah. Well, Colin, are you part of the area out there? Are you what are you doing? You're marketing for deals, or what are you doing out there?
I actually don't do any kind of hardcore marketing. I usually just use networks, and I have a lot of deals that come to me kind of informally.
And you're flipping or what? Or buying homes?
We stopped. We don't do flips. We buy homes and do renovations. So we just keep everything in-house.
Meaning you're doing a burr?
Correct.
Gotcha. Are you looking for multifamily or just singles?
Both. Good question.
Yeah. And so I know there's a couple big wholesalers in Spokane. Do you buy deals off them?
I have in the past, and they're good. They're good people to know.
Gotcha. Is there a lot of players? Are there a lot of little guys that don't really know what they're doing, putting out all kinds of crazy marketing over there? Or is it dominated by these bigger wholesalers?
Of course. You have varieties of every kind over here.
Yeah. Do you guys have a local meetup over there?
We have some. There's been some meetup groups they exist. A lot of them are online. Not really too much in-person meetings, at least on this side of the border for the state of Washington. I can't speak for Marishka and anything that's happening in northern Idaho right now.
There's actually some groups in northern Idaho, mostly run by agents out of Keller. And North Idaho, if you don't know, is a non-disclosure state. So you really do need to have an agent to get access to what, property sale prices are, et cetera. It's impossible to do comps without them because they don't list the sales prices in Idaho.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I was thinking of not getting my license in Idaho. And then I started, understanding the reality of it. It was like, oh, no, must have license. Or at least access to somebody with a license,
That's an excellent point. I know for Eastern Washington here, and I heard Albion was mentioned earlier on in this conversation, just north of Pullman.
Right.
With that multi-unit, right? Yeah. So that's our neck of the woods. Well, I know Pullman's 72 miles from Spokane.
Right.
So Albion would be about 60 something miles south of us here in Spokane. So not too far of a drive for
exactly.
So Colin, I sent you a little message. Why don't you go ahead and let's get together for lunch or something like that.
All right, sounds great.
Have you actually given them any financial information?
I found it. Yeah, I got you there. Thanks, sir.
And so Larry and I are together. I sent you one as well, but so you don't have to duplicate it.
Oh, I'll multitask. It'll be just fine.
I'm just the eye candy.
All right. Oh, I love it. The brains and the bronze. Those are my favorite. Yeah, that sounds great. You want to do it on your neck of the woods over in Northern Idaho, or you want to do it over here? I'd actually recommend doing it in Northern Idaho. There's a lot less restrictions as far as just.
Yeah, it's much easier to meet over here.
It is. Thank you. That's exactly what I was getting to.
That'd be great. Yeah. Let's do it real soon since we are going to be doing that Albion property real quickly. So
I will. Yeah, I will. You'll have to wait on me just for about a week. I am out of town in the South.
Okay.
I'm looking at properties down in Alabama right now, so I will be gone all week doing that, and I'll be back the following week. So we'll meet up then.
No worries.
Okay.
So, but somebody else had mentioned something about, I think it was Leyla that mentioned she had invested in or had some sort of properties in the South as well as the Midwest. So I have found that the Southeast has been a really great market for.
Southeast and the Midwest, they just tend to have better pricing overall. And so your rents and everything are just going to be better.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
Yeah. They cash flow much better in the Midwest and Southeast.
Yeah. Well, just the landlord friendly laws are also helps out quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, it looks like Julie's still on our call and we are over the time. So I appreciate everybody showing up. Good to see you, everyone.
Good to see you, Joe. It's been a while.
You too,
yeah. And we'll all talk soon. I sent you an email, Marishka.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right, guys.
See you, Joe.
Yeah. See you later.
Thank y'all. Bye.
Thanks. Take care.
Oh, hey, Julie.
Sorry, guys. We're out of here. We're done? Sorry, I'm trying to get Todd McKellips a deal out in Buckley.
Buckley. Excellent.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
All righty.
Thanks for showing up, everybody. And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.